My name is Dr. Steve Schimmel. I'm a research biologist for the EPA, retired. Spent 30 years with the agency, 20 years at our own Narragansett laboratory. Believe it or not, we have a very important research laboratory in Narragansett, Rhode Island, responsible for many of the scientific backings, the research in effluent pollution, in heavy metal research, water quality criteria, and a whole variety of other research activities. Previous to that, 10 years at the Gulf Breeze, Florida laboratory, where we developed water quality criteria as well. If you're not familiar with that, basically is to set limits on DDT, PCBs, pesticides of various sorts. We've provided expert testimony in court many times. And the whole gist of this is that we have an infrastructure of scientists who are working very hard within the agency to do the job for you people, for us, all of us. EPA was born on December 2nd, 1970, just within 6 months of Earth Day. I joined the agency 9 months later at the Gulf Breeze, Florida laboratory. Bill Ruckelshaus was appointed director or the administrator for the EPA by President Nixon. Not to give any glories to Nixon, Nixon didn't want an EPA, it was forced upon him. Earth Day, in large part, forced the issue, and he instituted the EPA. We thank him for that. Many rather astounding laws were passed in the first few years of the agency's initiation. The Clean Water Act, the Clean Air Act, the Pesticide Control Act, the Toxic Substances Control Act. There were a variety of laws that were passed that were the legislative basis for the research that our laboratories had conducted to support those laws. The Reagan administration and the backlash towards EPA. Some of you are too young to remember this, but when Ronald Reagan was elected president in 1981, he appointed a woman by the name of Ann Gorsuch. Ann Gorsuch's claim to fame was that she was a state senator from Colorado whose main focus was to destroy the Clean Water Act. That's who was appointed as administrator for the EPA. She, in turn, appointed office directors within the agency, and many of those had the same kinds of conflicts of interest and opposite viewpoint for what the very mission of the agency had. In summary, many of those individuals were either fired, went to jail, or were indicted in one manner or another. Take heart. Listen to that.
Here we go again.
Okay?
Here it comes.
As long as we get the right person as Attorney General.
Well, the lessons learned from and that's the whole gist of my talk, is the lesson learned and how we can approach this particular dilemma now.
People off the steps.
Investigative reporting by the press is absolutely crucial. It was important then, it's important now. Congressional support was often grudging at that time, but it was also important when needed. Well, we've got a Congress, of course, that is not going to be all that supportive of what we're trying to do. But there's still hope, and there's public pressure. Public action and environmental pressure groups, legal opposition, kept issues in the limelight. And I've testified in court for EPA against people like the National Defense Resource Council, and mostly to push me to get further from the data that I was providing. Those people are great individuals to have on your side. They should be supported as much as possible. I'm not pointing out just one. But any one of these environmental groups that have a legal arm should be approached and supported. What we must do to protect human health and the environment over the next 4 years. Urge our elected officials to strongly oppose any backsliding of environmental regulations and encourage them to use the press for public support, as we're doing here now. Carefully nurture economic and tangible support for environmental pressure groups, as I indicated, especially those with competent, successful legal capabilities. The battle for the environment will be won or lost in the courts. Past support from the majority party in the courts is unlikely unless the Trump administration's transgressions surpass those of the Reagan administration. And they may well be. My take-home message: don't let the bastards take you down. You are on the side of the angels, and it is for the sake of our children, our grandchildren, and those that follow who bear the benefits of the calamities of what we do over the next 4 years. So we have to fight for it. Thank you.
Thank you.